We have big new developments in the Joseph Duggar alleged sex crime scandal. He made his first court appearance out in Florida today, where he faces felony charges.
State your name, sir.
Joseph Duggar.
Good morning, Mr. Duggar. You're here for your first appearance after being arrested.
We also have another new jailhouse phone call with his wife, Kendra.
I asked him to be my attorney.
Yeah, I didn't know who exactly we settled with, but that's good.
Well, it's not for you, it's only for me.
And remember, she's his co-defendant in Arkansas as well. And we found out about phone and visitor logs for Duggar as he was behind bars in Arkansas. Plus, we have new reaction from his parents amid all these allegations and this scandal. Let's get into it all right now. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. So you know we've been following the Joseph Duggar, Kendra Duggar scandal. There have been a lot of updates in this legal saga. It can be hard to keep up with what's going on. So I want to kind of do a recap of what you might have missed, because there have been a lot of developments in the last 24 hours. So from a jailhouse phone call to visitor and call logs to also, by the way, his first court appearance in Florida to new family reaction. We're going to get into it all. So as we have been reporting, 31-year-old Joseph Duggar has been hit with felony charges of lewd and lascivious molestation of a victim less than 12 years old and lewd and lascivious behavior conducted by a person 18 years or older. And this is per the Bay County Sheriff's Office out in Florida. And this is all for allegedly sexually abusing a 9-year-old girl during a family vacation back in 2020. Now, at the same time, he and his wife, 27-year-old Kendra, are also facing charges in Arkansas. She was arrested just days after he was hit with these charges in Florida. Apparently, as part of the ongoing investigation, authorities there charged them with misdemeanor counts of 4 counts of endangering the welfare of a minor, 2nd degree, 4 counts of false imprisonment, 2nd degree. Now, we think that this is possibly connected to, although we cannot 100% confirm since authorities haven't indicated it, but it seems, allegedly, it is connected to this allegation that there were locks on the kids' doors in the family home on the exterior of the doors. This is out in Arkansas, and we know the couple share 4 kids. However, here's something new. Duggar is no longer housed at the Washington County Detention Center. This was reported by outlets like the Northwest Arkansas Democrat-Gazette, but then we have footage that we're going to talk about. So he was booked on March 18th. Apparently, he was then taken by authorities to Florida to face the sex crimes charges. And if you recall, he waived extradition, meaning he didn't fight it. That's common in criminal cases because instead of engaging in what could be a prolonged fight about why you shouldn't be transferred to that jurisdiction where you're facing charges, and many times you're going to remain locked up while that fight happens, you waive it, you go there, you go to court, you hear the charges, you fight bail, hopefully you get released if you're a defendant, because by all accounts, if it was just the Arkansas charges, these misdemeanors, he probably would make some sort of bail like his wife Kendra. But here the idea would be you go to Florida, try to make bail. If you make bail there, probably going to make bail in Arkansas, and then you're out. Then you're out pending the trial. That would be my take for why he wanted to, or seemingly wanted to, waive extradition. However, here is the thing about bond for the Florida charges. So I have video for you. This is new. I have video from Joseph Duggar's first court appearance in the Bay County Courthouse in Florida from today. Take a look.
All right, who do we have first, ma'am?
State your name, sir.
Joseph Duggar.
Good morning, Mr. Duggar. You're here for your first appearance after being arrested for the 2nd degree felony of lewd and lascivious conduct by a person 18 years of age or older. You're also here this morning for your first appearance after being arrested for the life felony offense of lewd or lascivious molestation by an offender over the age of 18 years of age and a victim under the age of 12. It's my understanding, sir, that you were given a copy of your paperwork and advised of your rights at the jail. Is that correct?
Yes, that's right.
By the way, I got to say this. I don't know if you've seen all the headlines, but so many Americans right now are struggling with debt. This is a real thing. It shows up in your own numbers with rising balances, fees, minimum payments, stretches out for years. Here's the good news. Doesn't need to stay that way. Today's sponsor, PDS Debt, has helped hundreds of thousands escape debt, reduce what they owe, and take back control. So whether it's credit cards, personal loans, medical bills, PDS Debt has customized options to help you pay off debt faster. No minimum credit score required. They look beyond the numbers and they design personalized plans to help put money back where it belongs, in your pocket. Also, they're A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau. Every month you wait costs you more, but your way out starts right now. When the numbers are clear, act. Take back control in 30 seconds. Get your free personalized assessment and the best option for you at pdsdebt.com/sidebar. That's pdsdebt.com/sidebar, pdsdebt.com/sidebar. Okay, so he's told the charges, and you can hear life felony, first appearance, gets the paperwork. And I want you to listen to this. You know how every criminal defendant has a right to an attorney, and if they can't afford an attorney, one will be appointed to them? Listen to what Joseph Duggar apparently requested.
All right, sir, I reviewed the application that you filled out, and it says that you do not want the court to appoint an attorney to represent you. So I will not do so at this time, sir, but if you have a change in circumstances, you can fill out another application for the court to review then, okay, sir?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, he didn't want a court-appointed attorney, wants to seemingly retain private counsel, but there was an attorney there. There was actually an attorney there in court on his behalf for the entirety of this case, it seems, and the issue of bond came up. Okay, this is the big one. Now, when you talk about bond, issues of someone's criminal history, the allegations, whether they have ties to the community, so are they going to be a flight risk? All that came up. Take a look.
And Mr. Saleen, are you here this morning on behalf of Mr. Duggar?
Yes, Your Honor, I represent Mr. Duggar in this matter. Your Honor, the family is asking for the most reasonable bond. The court is inclined to extend. It's my understanding he has no prior criminal history whatsoever, not even a speeding ticket. His father has flown to town on Saturday and is here in our community, ready to post a bond if the court is inclined to issue such. So we're asking for the most reasonable bond the court is comfortable in setting, and it has to be treated as fairly as anyone else would, regardless of his status in the television industry.
Mr. Saleen, are you representing Mr. Duggar for first appearance purposes or through the duration of the case, sir?
Through the duration, Your Honor.
All right. Anything from the state attorney's office?
Yes, Your Honor. Good morning. We're asking for a substantial monetary bond in this case. It's a serious charge against the child. We ask that there be a no contact placed with the victim, as well as no supervised contact with any minors. Mr. Duggar, even though he doesn't have a criminal history, has no ties to the community. The alleged facts here was that he was just on vacation and stayed here a short period of time. Same ability to come here a short period of time allows him to leave quickly as well. So no ties to the community. So we ask for a substantial bond under 903-46 factors you're allowed to consider to make sure he appears in court.
All right. And another judge determined there was probable cause for your arrest by signing of the warrants. Ms. Fambro, do you have any criminal history, ma'am?
They show a child in danger being in false imprisonment out of Arkansas this year.
Your Honor, I believe those are charges that may still be pending. As you know, he has another family member that was arrested for the same circumstance. I don't think those have been resolved in light of him coming here.
Mr. Saleen, I'm not aware of anything else, sir. I'm just here this morning on Mr. Joseph Duggar's case. So, Ms. Fambro, you show those as open, you said out of the state of Arkansas?
I don't show the disposition. I show that they were charged.
Okay.
That is correct. There are pending charges in Arkansas at this time.
All right, Mr. Duggar, I'm going to set your bond amount this morning in the lewd or lascivious conduct charge at $100,000. I'm going to set your bond amount in the lewd or lascivious molestation charge, which is a life felony, at $500,000. It's a total of $600,000 bond. Sir, you're going to have some other conditions as well. Sir, you are ordered to have no contact with the alleged victim. That means directly, indirectly through a third party or social media. Do you understand the no contact order, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Sir, you are also ordered that you are to have no unsupervised contact with any minors under the age of 18. Your next court date, sir, is April 20th at 9 a.m.
Step to your right to the T. Ma'am, if you'll give us a moment.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
And Your Honor, that's all I have. May I be excused?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Have a good day.
Yes, Your Honor, and same here, if I may be excused.
Yes, sir. Have a good day,
Thank you,
Mr.
Judge.
Saleen.
Have a good morning.
Interesting when he says the family, right? The family wants a reasonable bond here. Does that mean just Kendra? Does it mean Kendra? Does it mean other family members? I want you to keep that in mind because I want to get into the family's response. But his bond was set at $600,000. So while I said that there might be an effort to waive extradition, go there, make bond, get, be out while this trial progresses, $600,000 is a lot. And I will tell you, at the time of this recording, I haven't seen anything as of yet to say that he posted that bond, but we'll see. He was also ordered to have no contact with the alleged victim, no unsupervised contact with minors. That's very common in these kinds of cases. And his next court date is set for April 20th. Now, in terms of new updates, right? I said the latest developments, new updates. According to People magazine, we may have found out who Joseph Duggar has been calling when he was locked up in the Washington County Detention Facility in Arkansas and who visited him. So I want to start there. Now, while we mentioned in a previous episode of Sidebar that Joseph had called Kendra, we now have new audio. And I want to give you a bit more context here. So first, the context. So Joseph was arrested March 18th. Reportedly, it was on March 19th that he called Kendra. Apparently, she didn't respond or pick up. By the way, he also reportedly called a management consultant that same day. No further information on who that person could be or who that company might have been. PR consultant, crisis management, not entirely sure. High-profile individual, very salacious allegations. Now, he reportedly calls Kendra again, March 20th. They speak for about 8 minutes. This was reportedly 2 hours after Kendra was booked and then released on bond for her Arkansas charges. Remember the misdemeanor charges. So there's this phone call. Apparently calls her again March 21st, March 22nd, both calls reportedly lasting 21 minutes. March 23rd, he makes 2 calls to Kendra again. First conversation lasting 20 minutes, second one about 9 minutes. By the way, this is all based on reporting from page 6. March 24th to the 26th, he reportedly makes 2 more calls to Kendra, or at least Kendra's number, I should say, and with each conversation lasting about 20 minutes. Now, here is the new audio between what seems to be Joseph and Kendra.
Hi.
Hey, yeah, know that
I'm.
just know that we can't talk about a lot
Yeah.
here. Did Travis get a hold of you?
Yeah. I've been talking to Travis.
Oh, good, good.
I've got him as my attorney right now.
Okay.
I don't know if you know that. I
No,
asked him to be my attorney.
Yeah, I didn't know who exactly we settled with, but that's good.
Well, it's not for you. It's only for me. I mean, he can work with you, but it's just they said I needed somebody for the case that we've got going with the kids and stuff.
Bunch of thoughts. Now, I mentioned this in our last episode, but it's even more pronounced here. There seems to be a clear acknowledgement that they can't talk freely, seemingly about the particulars of their criminal cases, right? Not surprising, because usually before any jailhouse phone call, there is a message that comes up that says this line is being recorded. And we know those jailhouse phone calls can be used and have been used by prosecutors as evidence at trial. Now, in terms of the attorney, I mean, yeah, you really don't have the same attorney representing 2 defendants. It's not always the case, but it's rare because you have conflicting interests with each defendant. Sometimes you have conflicting defenses. Not saying one here would blame the other, but sometimes different levels of culpability, competing interests. Sometimes an attorney would be prohibited from representing 2 defendants that have competing interests. That's under the ethics rules. But also here, think about it. Even though there was a source that told people that what Kendra is facing in Arkansas, those charges are not connected or related to Joseph's charges in Florida, those allegations, and there's no reporting to suggest otherwise, that they are distinct, and she hasn't been implicated in what he's accused of doing in Florida, he is facing a different legal challenge and different accusations in Florida that may or may not affect the Arkansas case. So he needs his own attorney. Yes, they're facing the same charges in Arkansas, co-defendants, but his legal saga, his legal predicament, very different. And she seemingly acknowledges that the charges they face in Arkansas are in fact about their kids. We suspected that. We thought that. Right there. That was a theory that after he was charged in Florida, authorities go to check out the house in Arkansas. This is what we thought, probably pursuant to a warrant, and they see something that facilitates those misdemeanor charges. Was it about the locks or not? Not entirely sure, but she seemingly acknowledges that the criminal case is about the kids. Now, before we even get into the visitor logs, the potential visitor logs, and the reaction from Joseph's parents, this is new, the patriarch, the matriarch of the Duggar clan, this is some more of Kendra and Joseph's jailhouse phone calls.
How are you?
I'm alright. I mean, I've been spending a lot of time praying and reading the Bible. They got me a Bible in here, so I'm in solitary. So I'm only
Yeah.
I'm in the cell for 23 hours of the day. So, but
Really?
yeah, so it's like a 8 by 10 area, pretty small area, but I've been able to
Wow.
read a lot. I actually been resting some, but not sleeping great through the night. But
Yeah.
anyway,
Aw.
but it's good to hear your voice.
Yeah, it's good to hear from you.
And then they apparently talk about how Joseph is going to sign over the belongings he had with him when he was booked to Kendra so she can get them. And then there's this part.
Did you hear that I'm out here with, did you hear where I'm at and everything?
I don't know. Should we say it?
I think that'll, well, I don't know. Maybe not. But they've got me a good place to stay that's very private.
Oh, praise the Lord. I'm happy about that.
So,
I was hoping.
yeah, and they're taking,
Well, just.
so you're doing okay?
I'm trying to keep my spirits up, and I feel like reading the Bible has really been helpful to calm and not think about all the situation. So it's been uplifting. So
Oh, that's good to hear.
this one that I got, it's like some other NLT version or something like that, but it has a devotional in it that has some really good stuff. So.
Okay, so you get a sense of what he was maybe going through inside that detention center, and we speculate why solitary confinement, maybe high-profile individual, maybe it could have been an issue. So anyway, he appears to no longer be there, right? He's in Florida. So one more thing I should mention, 5 News, just going back to the Washington Detention Center, the Washington County Detention Center, 5 News at one point obtained part of a phone call that Joseph made from the Washington County Detention Facility 2, seemingly like about what he should be thinking about extradition and those kinds of issues.
Hi there. This is Joe Dyer here.
Yeah.
Hey,
Go on.
I'm over here at the Washington County.
Yeah.
I don't know if my dad mentioned it to you or not.
Yeah.
I didn't know if we needed to talk sometime about things or how the process works here on this side, or if you know anything more than I do.
Yeah. The only issue, well, you're there. You're in custody pending the issuance of a governor's warrant by the state of Florida. And you can be held for 30 days. Now you may be entitled to bond. Have they talked to you about? I got no status. Have they talked?
Yeah.
Have they talked to you about? Have they talked to you about bond?
Nothing. No.
Okay. They haven't said they're going to bring you before a judge anytime soon.
No, nothing of that sort.
Okay. Yeah, that's the only issue you've got now while you're in Washington County. You want to be out. And you get ties to the community, you get your family here. I mean, the judge should set a bond, in which case you'll be out pending Arkansas' receipt of a governor's warrant from Florida. It's called extradition, which you may have heard of, but but yeah, that's the only issue you got here in Arkansas. So
All right.
they should. They should. I mean, you should appear before the judge for bond, but let me know if that happens.
Okay.
If not, we might be able to get you in front of a judge for that.
Okay.
You have 3 minutes remaining on this call.
Yeah,
I guess if that's it, I guess we'll just, thank you. Yeah, if that's it, then I guess we can, circle back if we hear anything.
yeah,
I'm not too familiar with this process since it's,
okay.
the first time.
Well,
here,
if you, yeah, I understand. But if you bump into a deputy or something, say, ask if they're getting a bond hearing.
Okay, I'll ask that. All right, thank you.
All right,
Okay,
bye.
bye.
Okay, now I mentioned the visitor logs. This is new too. So according to page 6, Joseph Duggar's attorney appears to be the only person who visited him when he was at the Washington County Detention Center. Maybe not surprising when you consider the family's reaction to his arrest. And let's start with the new one. Let's start with the big reaction from the parents. So a spokesperson for the Duggar family told people yesterday that Jim, Bob, and Michelle, quote, are heartbroken over this entire situation. Right now, they are focused on loving their family and helping Kendra and her children during this difficult time. They are praying for the victim, seemingly in reference to the alleged Florida victim. They ask for privacy and appreciate the kind words and prayers offered by so many. Now it's interesting because based on the jailhouse phone call I played before, where I believe you can hear the kids in the background as Kendra is seemingly talking to Joseph, and that statement, it seems like Kendra is with the kids, right? Even despite the allegations, the charges in Arkansas. But from that statement, helping Kendra, there doesn't appear to be, at least as far as I can see, an acknowledgement of her charges, right? It's more about his felony charges in Florida. Now, I don't know if that was deliberate or not. I don't know if that really is the case or it isn't a reflection on the charges or is a reflection on the charges she faces. It's difficult to say one way or another because we really don't know the evidence. We really don't know the basis for the Arkansas misdemeanor charges or what the family thinks of those, or I should say what the parents thinks of those. I'll talk about the family in a minute. I will say this, though, and it's something to think about. You know, the Duggar family were stars of this TLC show, 19 Kids and Counting, and that lifestyle, that view on parenting and religion, it can be very different from what others are accustomed to. It was about a conservative Christian family, homeschooling. It was especially famous for the family's strict rules about dating and marriage. Amazon Prime released a documentary called Shiny Happy People, Duggar Family Secrets. One of the things that the documentary really focused on was the teachings that apparently motivated or guided the Duggar family, IBLP, Institute in Basic Life Principles. And this documentary explained that you're talking about a stricter lifestyle, abandoning vices like music and TV and dating. The whole idea of courtship, by the way, is different too. Getting to know someone, a romantic interest, not one-on-one, but through family. How you parent or punish children may be different. But again, just something to think about. I have no idea what the family actually thinks about Kendra or the charges, although I do have something to say about that. Now, I want to go back to one other point. So, no reported visitors. Why? Okay, what have we seen? What have we seen from the family's reaction? So I mentioned the parents. Joseph's brother Jason and his wife Maddie, they took to Instagram with a statement, quote, "We, like many, have spent the week completely shocked, confused, and grieved, to list a few emotions. We are disgusted to hear the news about my brother. However, this isn't about how it's impacted our lives. Our hearts are burdened because a child's life has been turned upside down due to evil actions of someone who should have never hurt the vulnerable. This is something unthinkable. We are angered by what has happened, and we pray God's righteous hand and the court system will serve justice in the situation as deserved. Maddie and I have always had a special place in our hearts for the vulnerable around us, and we will continue to do so. To fathom that someone would abuse their authority to harass the innocent is vile. We ask that you pray for the victim who has been brave enough to share what has happened. We also ask that you pray for his family at this time, as his children must face the reality of losing a father that should have been a spiritual leader in their lives. We stand with innocent children always." I just have to say, he is innocent until proven guilty in the eyes of the law. They seem to kind of have made a decision based on this, but I don't know. I mean, it's pretty strong words. Ginger Duggar spoke about the arrests on her podcast. She was visibly emotional. She said, quote, "It has been such a long week. It has been one of those weeks that feels like years. I did not think my heart could break like it has this week. The pain and heartbreak that we've had over this, and just thinking of how it's affected so many, yeah, it's just unthinkable. So hard and painful on many levels. She continued, it's hard. All we can do in these moments is cry out to God and ask him to sustain us and give help, because you can't just be prepared for news like this. Jill Duggar, her husband Derek Dillard, put out a statement on their family vlog. Said, quote, "We were shocked yesterday evening to learn of Jill's brother's arrest. We are shocked and heartbroken. We strongly condemn abuse. We support the rule of law and hope that justice will be achieved. Our hearts go out to the innocent juvenile victim of this unspeakable crime and her family. We pray God gives her strength, comfort, and hope, and that she's able to get all the help and support she needs and deserves in the days ahead." Joseph's sister, Joanna Duggar, wrote on her Instagram story, "What has come out about my brother is heartbreaking and deeply disturbing. My heart is with the victim, and I am grieved by the pain and harm caused. I have been a wreck this week, and I'm taking time to process. I have a few pre-filmed commitments that I have to post, but I will be taking some much-needed time with my family. Thank you for your prayers." How about this one? Cousin Amy Duggar King released an initial statement saying how she was sickened, heartbroken, deeply angry, saying the courage it took for her to come forward, meaning the alleged victim, cannot be overstated. That bravery deserves to be honored above all else. And while she initially said she was praying for Kendra, she issued a follow-up statement after Kendra's arrest, remember 2 days after Joseph. "The world changed a few hours later. These are serious charges. They are not the same as Joseph's charges, but they are not small, and I will not treat them as small. The moment a person faces criminal charges for the endangerment of children, my prayers shift to the children." So that is a direct reference to what Kendra is facing there. And then there's Josh Duggar, okay? This one's a bit different. He's currently, as we know, serving that 12-year sentence in Texas for receiving child sexual abuse material, child pornography. His lawyer released a statement to Us Weekly on his behalf. It says, "Josh Duggar does not know the details of the claims that have been made against his brother Joseph, but he knows the media frenzy that any incident regarding his family creates. He feels for his brother because everything is amplified out of proportion by the media interest in his family. This makes the pain of the criminal justice process exponentially worse. Josh prays for his brother and he hopes that he can stay strong. He too has felt the crushing wave of accusation that is powered by the media spectacle to which his family is subjected." Go back to my original point. Now you maybe see, if the reporting is true, why no one visited Joseph. Okay, if you're new to this case and you want a little bit more context on all this, I have to just go through this real quick. There is an affidavit that was filed with the Bay County Sheriff's Office, provides a few more details. So the accuser, who apparently was 9 years old at the time, allegedly told investigators that during this 2020 family vacation to Panama City Beach, Joseph had allegedly asked her to, quote, sit on his lap numerous times. When she would sit on his lap, he would allegedly cradle her with his arms. According to the affidavit, that pattern shifted over the course of the vacation. The accuser told investigators that Joseph began asking her to sit on the couch beside him, and then this escalated, or allegedly escalated. He, quote, covered the parties with a blanket, and once they were covered, the affidavit claims that Joseph would pull the victim's dress up and touch the victim's thighs, and that she described that he would, quote, touch the top portions of her thighs and would inch higher and higher, closer to the victim's waistline. Continued from there, the affidavit states that during these incidents, and the accuser said they happened, quote, several times, Joseph's hand allegedly grazed the victim's genital area with his hand outside of her underwear. The accuser described feeling uncomfortable and confused. And here's something that complicates the picture. According to the affidavit, Joseph, quote, eventually approached the victim and apologized for his actions. That after the apology, the incident stopped occurring. And after the victim's forensic interview, with law enforcement, Deputy Sheriff Darrell Norris of the Bay County Sheriff's Office, quote, requested the detective and victim's father call Joseph. On that call, according to the affidavit, Joseph allegedly admitted his actions, stating he touched the victim over her clothing, and then he, quote, admitted his intentions were not pure. Strong allegations here. So he's arrested. Joseph's arrested March 18th. You have the video from the Washington County that shows you him getting booked. You have these angles of the officers searching him and video of this interaction as well.
Anything on you in the city or poking?
No.
And pockets, what do you have that's missing?
No, nothing at all.
Oh,
Sorry, I thought you said if I had anything on me.
you said not in pockets. I mean,
Yeah.
I needed
No,
you got
no,
somewhere
no.
else.
Here, take it back.
All right.
Nothing at all.
Any injuries?
Well, I don't have anything to trace.
You been here before?
You get it.
No, that's that.
Look,
I think I got brother went to school for getting police staff training.
Oh,
He
yeah.
got pepper sprayed out over here.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What's your last name?
Dagger. He was constable in Montana area.
You just doing training here?
Yes. He did part-time in Montana.
All right, remember, let you look into that for the phone call for you, okay? What's your warrant for? And that's fine, so you know if I need to put your baby something.
What's that?
Just didn't know what kind of job it was.
I'm not exactly sure. It's like,
You don't have to tell me anything else?
yeah, just today.
I'm gonna walk that down, okay? You wanna talk, sometimes we don't. I'm with you. All right, and behind your back, let's see on that bench right there. All right.
So there you have it. Okay, some more updates on the Joseph Duggar case. We'll continue to follow it here on Sidebar. That's all we have for you right now. Thank you so much for following us. As always, please subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you should get your podcasts. You can also check us out on NBC's Peacock as well. If you want to follow me, X, Instagram, my News Nation show, Jesse Weber Live, Monday through Friday, 11 p.m. Eastern. I'll see you next time, everybody. Australian authorities have reportedly announced they're investigating pop star Katy Perry regarding a sexual assault claim made by actress Ruby Rose. We're getting into the allegations, the potential investigation, the potential charge, what we can expect next, who would be interviewed, and we're going to break it down with someone who is now familiar with how Australian investigations work. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. Pretty incredible celebrity accusation is now making the headlines. Actress Ruby Rose has accused pop singer Katy Perry of sexual assault at a nightclub in Australia about 20 years ago. This is big news. And what has really made this big news is this has now reportedly prompted an official police investigation over there, which I want to explore with an expert in a little bit about how this might happen. But what started this, right? So Ruby Rose, who is best known for films like Resident Evil, John Wick, Pitch Perfect, The Meg, she took to threads regarding Katy Perry. And it was regarding Katy Perry reacting to Justin Bieber's Coachella performance. And Ruby Rose goes to threads and reportedly writes, "Katy Perry sexually assaulted me at Spice Market nightclub in Melbourne. Who gives a bleep what she thinks?" Now she followed that up with, "I'm now 40. It has taken almost 2 decades to say this publicly. Though I am so grateful to have made it long enough to find my voice, it just shows how much of an impact trauma and sexual assault takes. Thank you for seeing me." Now, there's a lot more that I'm going to get into here, but there was a representative for Katy Perry fired back in a statement saying the allegations being circulated on social media by Ruby Rose about Katy Perry are not only categorically false, they are dangerous, reckless lies. Miss Rose has a well-documented history of making serious public allegations on social media against various individuals, claims that have repeatedly been denied by those named. Now, I don't believe that was in direct reference to something specific, but to provide a little bit of context here, it was a few years ago when Ruby Rose left the CW's Batwoman show and would make allegations of a hostile work environment and misconduct, targeted producers and executives, which, by the way, Warner Brothers responded at the time saying this was a form of, quote, revisionist history, claimed that she was let go, that she was fired from this project, quote, based on multiple complaints about workplace behavior. But I want to go back to Ruby Rose and Katy Perry. So in another post, Rose alleged that Perry, quote, saw me resting on my best friend's lap to avoid her and bent down, pulled her underwear to the side and rubbed her disgusting, let's just say, private parts on my face until my eyes snapped open and I projectile vomited on her. Very descriptive, very specific, okay? Now, Rose also posted that, quote, as a woman, for a myriad of reasons, opening up about W on W, women on women, violence and sexual abuse seems to be 100 times harder than speaking about the male predators, at least for me. And then there was a major update. Rose posted on Threads, today I will be walking into a police station to see if any of my experiences can be investigated. I imagine they are past their statute of limitations, but all the more reason to try. What is interesting is that she had previously posted that she wasn't interested in reporting this to police. Actually, she apparently posted that Perry, quote, is more than welcome to sue me. She won't because it happened. I have photos and it was literally in public and witnessed by multiple people. By the way, legal point of view here, that's right. Katy Perry could technically sue Ruby Rose for something like defamation because of these, I would imagine she would argue, alleged false public statements made on social media. If Rose had filed a lawsuit making these claims, she probably wouldn't be able to be sued for defamation because generally speaking, if you make claims in a lawsuit, you're shielded from defamation suits, right? Makes sense. If anybody could just turn around and file defamation suits against you for filing a lawsuit, it would chill litigation. It would chill anyone from going to the courts, and that wouldn't make sense. But for the public comments that Ruby Rose is making against Katy Perry, yes. Is there potential legal liability? Sure. I'm not saying Katy Perry is going to file a lawsuit against Ruby Rose, but just something to think about. All right, real quick, this is for all you cat owners out there. Who doesn't want their cat to be healthy and happy, right? This is why I got to talk about feeding them Smalls. Most cat food out there, it's made with cheap fillers and meat byproducts and artificial ingredients. Your cat's health is paying the price, but Smalls is different. Why? Their recipes are made with preservative-free, 100% human-grade ingredients that you'd find right in your fridge. Cats rely on protein for energy. They also need a lot of hydration to stay healthy and toned. And luckily, Smalls contains at least 80% animal protein. Their fresh ingredients are gently cooked to retain all of their nutrients, their hydration, and their flavor. 88% of cat parents report that after feeding them Smalls, their cats have better digestion, shinier coats, more energy to play. The experts have also been raving about it. Forbes ranks Smalls the best overall cat food. BuzzFeed reviewers reported that their cats went ballistic for this stuff. Look, your cat's health starts with what they eat. Try Smalls. Get 60% off of your first order plus free shipping and treats for life when you go to smalls.com/sidebar. Now, I want to go to what I believe is Ruby Rose's latest response posted online. Quote, hi, last update on this. As of this afternoon, I have finalized all of my reports. This means I am no longer able to comment, repost, or talk publicly about any of those cases or the individuals involved. It's going to look like I am ignoring everything from supportive messages to other people's experiences, but I'm not. This is a standard request from the police and in many ways quite the relief. I can start the healing process now and temporarily move forward. I love you all so much. And guess what? This is the big update. According to KTLA5, quote, Melbourne's Sexual Offenses and Child Abuse Investigation Team detectives are investigating a historical sexual assault that occurred in Melbourne in 2010. Police have been told the incident occurred at a licensed premises in Melbourne's CBD. As the investigation remains ongoing, it would be inappropriate to comment further at this stage. Now, CBD stands for the Central Business District. And Perry herself, to be clear, didn't address this claim, but I will say around the same time, on April 14th, she reportedly posted on Instagram, on an Instagram story, writing, I love you. This was alongside an image of her song, By the Grace of God. This is from her 2013 album, Prism. Take that for what you will. But I do have to mention this. In an interview with the Herald Sun, this is per reporting by the Rolling Stone Australia, the reported ex-manager of the Melbourne nightclub Spice Market, which has since closed its doors, claimed that the night of the incident that Rose is describing, he doesn't know of anything like that happening. He claimed they came in together. They were also with Katy's hair and makeup girl and another guy who was friends with Ruby. It was a security nightmare because there were 600 people there and Katy kept coming out and dancing with everybody and going right in the middle of the mosh pit. They were in the Genie bottle, so that's apparently the VIP room, and having drinks and stuff, but were mainly in there doing their own thing. I wasn't aware of any alleged assault or someone vomiting. He claimed that Rose and Perry were both, quote, drunk but, quote, weren't paralytic or anything. Both had way too much to drink. To avoid people taking photos of them in a state, we organized a car and driver to be waiting outside the Collins Street entrance of the hotel. We escorted them out the back and up the fire exit and put them in the car together. By the way, before we even get into the investigation and what could come from this, I have to say this. This is not the first time that Ruby Rose has gone after Katy Perry. No, back in 2017, she reportedly criticized Perry's Swish Swish song because it was seen at the time as a possible Taylor Swift diss track. And Rose reportedly wrote on Twitter, I just think with everything going on in the world, to go from rebranding as a political activist only to ditch it and go low is a bummer. One more thing I got to call out. Certain things have come into focus or have been getting this renewed attention since these allegations from Ruby Rose, like actress Anna Kendrick. So she joked on a 2014 appearance with Conan O'Brien that Perry had inappropriately touched her cleavage during what she described as a weird night. 2019, actor Josh Kloss, who apparently appeared in Perry's Teenage Dream music video, accused her not only of verbal abuse, but claimed that she took his private part out at a party without his consent. Georgian Russian television host Tina Kendalaki accused Perry of inappropriately touching and kissing her. 2018, while serving as a judge on American Idol, Perry reportedly kissed contestant Benjamin Glaze on the lips, which he later said he didn't see it as sexual harassment, but apparently he did say that made him uncomfortable. Now, I want to understand what this Australian investigation could look like. Is there no statute of limitations? Could Katy Perry be interviewed? Could she be arrested? Who else would be interviewed in connection with this case? That's what I want to break down. Okay, so now I want to bring in Mike King. Why do I want to bring in Mike King? Well, aside from the fact that he's a fantastic guest and a retired police commander and host of Profiling Evil and author of Wolves in Sheep's Clothing, he actually has a very specific expertise when it comes to Australia investigations. What do I mean? So he has this 4-part documentary in Australia that I believe is dropping April 22nd. It's a serial killer case. His series is big news over there right now. So, Mike, thanks for coming on. To give everybody some perspective, you're familiar a little bit with how investigations happen in Australia, right?
Yes, Jesse. In fact, I had the opportunity for probably 7 years to work in throughout the entire country of Australia in each of the individual states. Came to know, at least at the leadership level, many of the commanders from each of those different people, including I've sat in the offices in the Vic Police Department. So this is really kind of an interesting case to me from a number of perspectives, not only the kind of differences between U.S. law and Australian law to the level I understand it, but the way in which they investigate things.
Can you talk about that as before we get into more specifics? Generally speaking, how is it different? How is an Australian investigation different than an investigation here in the States?
Well, you know, I always look at Australian police a little differently anyway, because they are so much better, in my opinion, at handling conflict resolution and other things, because they have to learn how to chat with people and really try to control them in less lethal means. Now, this case has nothing to do with less lethal,
sure,
other than it's an entirely different mindset. The laws, I think, are similar in nature, other than they fall under the Queen's rules in many cases, and so it's a little different. It's hard to understand for me at times, but when you get down to the core legal aspects, especially in a case like this, sexual assault, regardless of whether you're in Australia or in the United States or anywhere else, is still sexual assault, and they have statutes. They might name them differently than what we would look at this case and potentially try to categorize it as.
All right, so with that kind of background, it feels like a big deal for the Victoria Police Department to make this statement. I'm going to read it one more time. Melbourne Sexual Offences and Child Abuse Investigation Team detectives are investigating a historical sexual assault that occurred in Melbourne in 2010. Police have been told the incident occurred at a licensed premises in Melbourne CBD. As the investigation remains ongoing, it would be inappropriate to comment further at this stage. Now, they don't mention specifically Ruby Rose. They don't mention specifically Katy Perry, but everybody's putting two and two together. The fact that they are announcing an investigation here and kind of have a unit that is dedicated to historical claims of sexual assault. Are you familiar with this unit? Or generally speaking, the fact that they have announced this feels like a big deal.
Yeah, and to me, actually, Jesse, when I look at it, the Aussies are pros at getting in front of the media and then shutting everything down. They don't share information. They don't say this is where we are. It's a lot different than it is here, although they're very quick to get out in front, acknowledge, even accept some facts in cases, but not share what's happening in the ongoing investigation. Yeah, I mean, even you mentioned this documentary that's coming and some discoveries that we made in cold cases. They took the information, but then the wall comes up and there's no sharing of information. It's also kind of interesting because just the way that the Australians speak is so foreign to many of us in the United States, even though we certainly understand what they're saying, but the words that they may use. And so when they're saying a historical case, for us, we might be thinking, well, this is breaking history. In reality, what they're saying is, hey, this is a cold or an old case that we're bringing back from history and looking at, and we have an obligation, whether it's because of the notoriety of the people involved or just the fact that they really are pretty forward thinking when it comes to sexual assault. They're investigating the crime or the allegation, I should say.
And by the way, I mean, you heard this a little bit from Ruby Rose, but I did as best of research as I could on this, and I'm not an Australian lawyer. It doesn't appear that there's a statute of limitations issue, that it could be time barred, that even if this happened in 2010, there is potential criminal liability here for Katy Perry, right? I mean, unless I'm looking at it the wrong way.
No, I would have to agree with you on that. And I don't understand their criminal code very well. But if I remember right, back in about 2007 or 2009, they made some adjustments to the criminal statutes that allowed reporting, no statute of limitations or no end of the road when it comes to something that goes on. Now, whether that carries a lot of weight in moving forward is going to be interesting, because while they may say, yeah, we'll certainly open the case, we'll look at it and we'll respond, that doesn't mean they're going to be able to recover evidence that far back or even rely on witness testimony that far back.
Yeah.
But it opens the door. And I wonder if it just doesn't also make it a clear pathway for somebody if they chose to go civilly in this particular case rather than criminally.
Talk to me about what this investigation looks like, because you hear Ruby Rose, just taking her word as true for a moment, these are her allegations. She claims she went to the police and told her account. What is that interview like, and where do they go from there?
Well, I think as an investigator, you have to take into account, number one, delayed disclosures after sexual trauma is common. And we shouldn't just say because it happened 15 or 20 years ago. And there's vacillating reports on when this thing really happened. We are now starting to narrow in on testimony from, for instance, that Spice Club of when that event happened, but is that actually the same episode? We don't know for sure, but you have to consider that delayed disclosure is going to be common. I think the second thing we have to think about is that these things take time for people to expose, especially if it's a same-sex sexual encounter. Sometimes that's a little harder for people to talk about than others, but clearly, you have to think, okay, why did it come up now? And you have to consider the fact, what was that interpersonal trigger, that event that happened that caused Ruby Rose to say, I'm ready now to do it? Whether it was just an immediate knee-jerk, hey, I'm going to socialize that she assaulted me, or not, we don't know. I mean, previous accounts say that she talks about it as a funny drunk story. But now it's a serious sexual assault against her. And you have to think, or is it possible that this is just really a less charitable approach? She's just flat doing some score settling or something. So for an investigator, as you're putting together and trying to figure out what evidence you have to kind of keep those things in mind too. And none of them mean that this is a truthful story or that it's a false story. It just means that you got to make sure you're considering it all.
I believe that this Spice Market, this nightclub, I think it closed. I went on their Instagram, and I think their final night was January 1st, 2026. which makes me wonder, how do they get all, like, do they go back and get all the footage from like 2010? Is it still available? Different age, different time, feels like yesterday, but also a different time. How do they go about doing this?
You know, there's an old retired Victorian police commander that was on the Australian news talking about this then, and I have to agree. Number one, they're not going to recover any CCTV coverage or video footage from the venue itself unless somebody, because of the notoriety of who was there, personally held on to that. I just don't think there's going to be an official record anywhere. But in this day and age where people are filming at every turn with their mobile devices, there could be several pieces of corroborating video that support this story that the Vic police are going to be looking at and taking into account.
How do they even get that? How do they get, I mean, it's a nightclub. How do you even get witnesses, people who were there? Where do they even begin?
Well, I would say that it begins with the fact that it's Katy Perry and Ruby Rose, and that everybody is going to say, oh man, I remember collecting or watching that or catching a video, and they may choose to weigh in. It could also be that the alleged victim in this case reaches out to people that she's talked to over the last 20 years that say, I remember that. And they're willing to step forward and say, yeah, I talked. So finding a witness even from 20 years ago may not be that difficult, especially given the notoriety of the individuals involved.
What about the former manager's account? What do you make of that? Basically, again, said that they appeared to be intoxicated, he never saw anything or never was told anything or reported anything that would suggest what happened or would support Ruby Rose's claims. Doesn't mean it didn't happen, but he's the former manager.
I would have to say that he is more reliable than many others because they don't have skin in the game from one side or the other of this discussion. And I really think
about
that
it. If somebody was allegedly sexually assaulted in some way in the club that he managed, I don't know. That could be something to be thinking about.
I think you make a really good argument, but that from a risk perspective, he might be saying, hey, everything was just a bunch of drunks and nothing happened to reduce risk against the company. I don't know that it could hit him personally. And if your research is accurate and the company is out of business, I guess I see that less likely than the fact that this is probably just an independent witness who sees drunk behavior every single night and would have probably remembered, again, based on the notoriety, whether it happened or not. I think you make a really good argument that I can't.
He doesn't have to speak to the press about it, and apparently this reported ex-manager did. So that's a point in your corner. I mean, in the idea he doesn't have skin in the game. Why even say anything? He could say, I had no comment, I don't remember it, or say anything, but he was pretty specific.
Yeah. And again, I think the dynamic is so different because of the notoriety of people. Some people might be willing to take that risk because they think it gives them that moment of fame in the public spotlight too.
Let me ask you this. I talked about at the beginning, some historical context with respect to Ruby Rose and Katy Perry. So Katy Perry's rep had called out Ruby Rose for allegedly making false statements, and I mentioned the back and forth that Ruby Rose had with Warner Brothers at one point. I talked about earlier how there were these other claims from other people like Anna Kendrick and others regarding Katy Perry. How much do investigators look at that and say, well, we're taking this allegation from Ruby Rose, let's look at other allegations that she's made. Okay, we're looking at this allegation against Katy Perry, let's speak to other people who have made allegations against her. I mean, do they speak to Anna Kendrick? It's not even related to Australia. She made this comment on a 2014 appearance on Conan O'Brien. How much do they look at all that?
If it were my case, I would absolutely be looking at those kinds of things. You know, I went back and just did some research on Katy Perry, for instance. First big hit, I Kissed a Girl. Well, does that mean anything? Probably not, but in this context, could it be interesting? Yeah. when you see allegations that are coming out of maybe some pretty outrageous behavior in a bunch of different places, you have to take that into account. I remember going through the early stages of learning this art and science of profiling. A former profiler sat down with me and he said, just keep in mind this simple thing: past behavior is predictive of future behavior. And so you have to take into account the repetitive kinds of behavior that is getting a little close to the sun in many cases. To answer your question, I would absolutely want to interview every one of those and ask, tell me exactly what you remember.
What about interviewing Katy Perry? How would that work? You know, do they ask her to come to Australia? Do they do an interview over Zoom? I mean, how does that work exactly?
Well, number one, I don't think she will agree to talk if they even do ask her. But we might find on the flip side of that she's compelled to go and defend her name. And she may hop on a plane and go over and say, I want to talk to you right now, and walk in with her lawyer and sit down and do that. I don't think this is the kind of case that you could justify saying, we want you to come to Australia and spend 14 hours on a plane to come over and do an interview on this case. They'd do it in a Zoom or something like we're doing.
Would they ever come to the United States?
Very possible, especially if, in fact, they continue to get a bunch of pressure from the community or from the citizens and media and others, and they have people here that need to be interviewed. They may say, hey, this is worth putting one of our detectives on a plane and flying them over and letting them go and talk to people face to face.
I want to be very clear. These are just allegations at this point, just allegations that Katy Perry is facing. We don't know what supporting evidence or corroborating evidence may exist or not exist. But I have to, as we're talking about this, and we're talking about this investigation seemingly being launched, from what you know about Australian criminal procedure, how does an arrest and how does charging work over there?
It's very much like ours. I mean, they would in this kind of a case, I would think, just put out a document and let the lawyer know and say you can come and surrender and be booked. I don't know if they would allow her to be digitally booked and then have to come over for the actual criminal proceedings or not. But I think it's going to be handled much like it would be handled here. But we have to keep in mind, I mean, here, we probably would put someone on a plane and extradite her back if she didn't come on her own.
Right. That's a good point. All right, Mike King, let's see where this goes next. Thank you so much for taking the time, sir.
Thanks, Jesse. Great to see you.
And that's all we have for you right now here on Sidebar. Everybody, thank you so much for joining us. And as always, please subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you should get your podcasts. You can also check us out at NBC's Peacock as well. If you want to follow me, X, Instagram, my News Nation show, Jesse Weber Live, Monday through Friday, 11 p.m. Eastern. I'll see you next time, everybody.
Yes, I got arrested in Bali for filming. So it was about time they came to the embassy so they could watch it in person.
She was arrested in Bali, deported, and then banned for a decade. That should have been the end of the story, right? Nope. Instead, Bonnie Blue is accused of showing up outside the Indonesian embassy in London and sparked a whole new criminal case and a possible jail sentence. What did she do? And how did this spiral from what, a $13 fine to now a charge in the UK? We're going to break it down. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. All right, before we go on, if you owe the IRS more than $25,000 in back taxes, I need you to listen up. Does the thought of your back taxes keep you up at night wondering if the IRS is about to levy your bank account or garnish your paycheck? That is where Tax Hardship Center comes in, the #1 tax relief firm in the whole country with an A+ rating that has settled hundreds of millions in tax debt for people just like you. Don't call the IRS and poke the bear. Don't do that. No, the experts at Tax Hardship Center can find out where you stand without you even lifting a finger, and they can lay out a plan to fight for the best possible resolution. You can even start your free, no-obligation consultation right from your phone. So if you owe back taxes, go to taxhardshipcenter.com/taxhelp now or call 877-644-6939 right now and let them show you a way out.
Meant to be packing and then heading back to immigration. But all immigration want to do is keep interrogating me. I've told them they're obsessed with me at this point.
Yes, I got arrested in Bali for filming. So I thought it was about time they came to the embassy so they could watch it in person.
You remember her? That's Bonnie Blue, real name Tia Billinger, the British adult content creator who went to Bali, got herself arrested on the bang bus, stared down, a 15-year potential prison sentence in, by the way, an Indonesian prison, and then walked away with a $12, $13 fine and a decade-long ban from the country. We thought that was it. We thought that that chapter was over, right? She got deported, she went home, end of the story. Except guess what? According to authorities, it wasn't. Because according to police, she then decided, right after coming back from Indonesia, she allegedly decided to pay a visit to the Indonesian embassy in London, surrounded by masked men holding their flag, okay, the Indonesian flag, and allegedly mimicking a sex act right outside the gate. Now, spoiler alert, they didn't love that. Because now she has been charged with the crime of outraging public decency by London police. She could potentially face up to 6 months in prison, and she's also due in court next month. So now the question is, what is going on here? She's back in the news. We got to talk about it.
Hello guys, I am actually pregnant. So Bonnie Blue's breeding mission, turns out it was actually a success.
I guess I got to take a step back, right? Because if you're just joining us and you have no idea who that is or what a breeding mission means, let's buckle up here, okay? You're about to learn a lot. That voice belongs to Bonnie Blue, real name Tia Billinger. She's a 26-year-old British adult content creator. And if you haven't heard of her yet, here's the short version, okay? She makes her money online. She travels the world. It appears that she has a very specific talent for getting herself into trouble in countries with very strict laws. And the trouble started late last year, November of 2025. We covered this here on Sidebar. Bonnie Blue lands in Bali, Indonesia. Now, if you know anything about Indonesia, you know they take morality and anti-pornography laws incredibly seriously, like decades in prison seriously. Now, Bonnie rolls in with a truck, a literal truck, by the way. She bought it for like about $1,200, painted it blue, slapped a logo on the side that said, and I kid you not, Bonnie Blue's Bang Bus.
Hey parents, remember when I said I was going to pick your sons up? I wasn't lying. Hi boys! No, Bali Schoolies is better this year. For sure.
Yeah, Schoolies, that's what they call the annual week-long party where Australian high school graduates celebrate finishing school. So super young, but adults, super young, not minors. And Bonnie's plan was to drive that bus around Bali, pick up guys, and let's just say make content. Spoiler alert again, the locals noticed. Not too happy. December 5th, police raid a studio in an area called Pereranan. Apologies if I mispronounced it. They seize cameras, phones, condoms, USB drives, the whole kit. They detain Bonnie Blue and 3 other men, so 2 British, 1 Australian, and another 14 guys are questioned and ultimately released. Now, initially, it's pretty terrifying, right? We're talking about Indonesia, their anti-pornography laws. Conviction could mean up to 15 years in prison. And the headlines, write for themselves. But then something happens. Police start going through the footage, and according to the International Business Times in the Mirror, they realize something. There's no nudity, there's no genitalia, there's no explicit sex acts actually being filmed, at least nothing they could prove was made for public distribution. And a police spokesperson actually told the press then, quote, when they were raided, they were making collab content about a game where the winner would sleep with Bonnie Blue. No pornographic activities or acts have been found in the collaborative content. So in the end, there was no pornography charges. Now, that doesn't mean that she walks free, because now immigration steps in. And their problem isn't what she was filming. It's that she was filming at all. She was in Indonesia on a tourist visa. You're not allowed to work on a tourist visa, and driving around in a bang bus making commercial content, that's basically work.
Get ready with me for trial. I've only just woken up and I've got 20 minutes. I really wanted to wear my Schoolies t-shirt. Family have strongly said don't.
That video was posted the morning of her court date, December 12th. So she walks into the Denpasar District Court with the 3 guys who got arrested alongside her. And here's where it gets almost comical. So the judge finds her, not for pornography, not even for visa violations, at least not directly. She gets fined for a traffic violation because the bus It was untaxed. It was illegally repainted. The driver didn't have a proper license. And the fine was 200,000 Indonesian rupiah. It's about 13 US dollars.
Ever wondered what deportation looks like? Well, this is it.
So she pays the 13 bucks, but immigration isn't done. They deport her. They kick her out of the country, and they slap her with a 10-year ban from ever coming back to Indonesia. Their official statement says her activities were, and I quote, inconsistent with the government's efforts to maintain Bali's quality tourism image, and that she showed a lack of respect for local cultural values. So, Bonnie Blue gets on a plane. She flies home to the UK, and for about, I don't know, maybe 48 hours, that's it. Story's over.
Here's past 30 minutes. They're saying we can't eat her for no other reason. It's still under investigation, but they've got absolutely full evidence. So she genuinely never met anyone with Tanya immigration in Bali.
December 15th, same week she gets back, she allegedly shows up outside the Indonesian embassy in London. It's about a mile from Buckingham Palace. She's surrounded by men, or appears to be surrounded by men in hoods and masks, and she's holding an Indonesian flag pinned to her skirt, trailing on the ground, and she allegedly proceeds to mimic a sex act right there on the street.
Yes, I got arrested in Bali for filming. So I thought it was about time they came to the embassy so they could watch it in person.
The video goes viral. Indonesia notices. Their embassy apparently files a formal complaint with UK authorities. And then what happens? Now she's being charged by London's Metropolitan Police with outraging public decency. And just so we're clear what that means, I looked it up on the website, the Royal Crown Prosecution website. It is a common law offense in the UK. It covers any act in public that's lewd, obscene, or disgusting, the kind of thing that falls outside the normal exposure laws but still crosses a line. And if convicted, she's looking at up to 6 months in prison, and maybe what's known as an unlimited fine or a major fine, or both. Her next court date is set for April 22nd at Westminster Magistrates Court. So now we've got big questions. How does a $13 traffic fine in Bali turn into a possible jail sentence in London? Will evidence from there come into this case? What happens when a diplomatic complaint becomes a criminal case? What does this mean for someone whose entire brand is pushing boundaries? Could she end up behind bars? We're going to bring in somebody who actually understands how this works. But first, okay, here's the thing. To understand this, to try to at least understand this anyway, you got to understand who Bonnie Blue actually is. Not the headlines, the person. And luckily, she documents like everything.
I'm the girl that rage baits, the one that takes your son's virginity and has no issue making your husband cheat.
That's how she introduces herself to the world. 26 years old, real name Tia Billinger, worth reportedly around £3 million, and her whole brand is pushing buttons, testing limits, seeing what happens. And here's what happened in Bali.
Just a my skincare, picked out an airport outfit, then heading back to immigration to be interrogated.
20 guys, 1 girl, so you best believe that video is going to get uploaded as soon as I'm back.
That's her talking about her Bali interrogation. Phone seized, facing years in prison, and she's laughing. This is Bonnie Blue arriving for questioning at the immigration office in Bali. Now, according to the report on the scene, when asked by reporters if she intended to make more explicit content in Bali, she replied, "Subscribe and you'll find out." All right, so whenever I talk about international issues, apparently whenever I talk about Bonnie Blue, I bring on international law attorney David Teferi to help sort out what all of this means. David, thanks for taking the time yet again to talk about this. How serious is this?
Well, it's probably not too serious. That my expectation is that she will probably be found guilty or perhaps plead guilty, but the sentence could be up to 6 months in prison. I don't expect that they would go to that maximum for her. But I do think that a judge or a jury, and it could be either one that decides her case, will find that she did this intentionally and that she was looking for a public reaction. And so they may punish her appropriately to try to make sure she doesn't do it again.
What is appropriately, and why do you think it wouldn't be 6 months?
I think it would not be 6 months because I think it's the first time she's been arrested in the UK for something like this. So she's a first-time offender. And also this is, although it is, public indecency and it could cause public outrage, especially what she did in this instance, I think that this is still a minor crime. It's not a serious crime. No one was harmed. There's no specific victim of the crime. And that's why I don't think she'll get the 6 months, even though the crime carries a sentence up to 6 months.
And you believe that she would be found guilty, or there's not really much of a defense here? Because I'm going to read you again what it said from the Crown Prosecution website. It is an offense at common law to do in public any act of a lewd, obscene, or disgusting nature that outrages public decency. This offense should only be considered if the incident falls outside the statutory offenses. For example, if it is not possible to prove the mental element required for an exposure offense, or exceptionally, if the offense merits a higher penalty than that available in relation to the statutory offense. A lot of legalese there, but you saw the video, right? It's not like she's, I don't know, running around naked. It's not like she's actually performing a sex act in public. She mimicked a sex act, allegedly mimicked the sex act several times outside the embassy. You have all those men in the masks. Does it rise to the level of this offense?
Yeah, I'm not sure. That's going to depend on what the judge, if it's tried by a judge, or the jury, if it's tried in the Crown's court by a jury, believes. I think that they will see this as intentional. There wasn't a mistake here. She wasn't, doing something in public. She didn't realize people were watching. She filmed it intentionally. She was surrounded by men in masks, which, creates a sort of imposing image in the video. And so, again, it's going to be up to the jury, and obscenity is what people think it is, what it might be, and it's just not clear.
And I mean, she allegedly did it right after she got out of Indonesia, where she was facing potentially significant prison time. I mean, if these allegations are true, that's like pretty bold of her to do this. And I agree, like, if she did take this to trial, she was found guilty, or she does take a deal, I feel like I do wonder how much the Indonesian case is going to factor into this. So let's talk about it. Is it going to be any evidence from what happened in Indonesia going to factor into this? Are any of the Indonesian authorities going to testify in this case? How much do you think that will affect this particular case? Because I think it goes to the idea of her alleged motive, right? Her alleged intent here.
These are all good questions that I've been thinking about. What's surprising about her actions is that she actually got off in Indonesia and got pretty lucky, because she could have been prosecuted in Indonesia for potentially more serious crimes, including, it's a crime, as we discussed last time, to make a pornographic video in Indonesia. And in this case, she was in Bali. And Bali has a very conservative culture. And so they could have prosecuted her for that, although they determined that she wasn't making any pornographic materials yet when they raided her home. And that's why they decided not to prosecute her for that. They did charge her with a traffic crime because of her bus or van that she was driving around in Bali. Again, a very minor offense. And she was ultimately deported on the grounds that she was misusing her visa. She was there on a tourist visa, but she was engaging in commercial activities, filming videos. So that is basically a compromised position that the Indonesian government took. They didn't want to prosecute her. They probably didn't want all the attention of prosecuting a tourist when tourism is so important in Bali, but they wanted to make her leave and send her a message. And so they used the visa issue to deport her. And so she now goes right in their face, goes to the embassy, does potentially lewd act in front of the embassy. She's basically, in some ways instigating Indonesia to take further action. They did. They did the appropriate thing, which is not take action directly against her. They reported her to the police in the UK. I don't think what happened in Indonesia is particularly relevant to the crime that she's been accused of in the UK. That crime is just about, did you do the act in public? Is it offensive? Is it lewd? And not what has happened before in another country. Although that is some context and background for why she did it, and it does indicate that she was acting with some vendetta against Indonesia.
Because she could have been charged with this even if she had never gone to Indonesia, you know. Let me ask you this. Why did it take a minute before the charge, right? So the Metropolitan Police say the charge relates to an incident in Great Peter Street, SW1 on Monday, 15th of December. An investigation took place and a woman in her 20s was interviewed under caution on Tuesday, the 2nd of February. A referral was made to the Crown Prosecution Service, which subsequently authorized the above charge. So it's not like this just happened yesterday. You're talking about something that allegedly happened in December. Now we're all on the way in March. What do you think happened there?
Yeah, apparently she was interviewed in February, as you said, and
if it was her, if that's who they interviewed, I imagine it was her.
Yeah, they described a woman in her 20s, but it sounds like, and some of the media is reporting that it was in fact her. The wheels of justice can turn very slowly here in America. Same with in the UK. My guess is also this was a confounding issue for the UK. Maybe they wouldn't normally charge someone, but she's gotten so much attention and she keeps doing this and she keeps pushing the envelope. And so they may have decided that they need to charge her to prevent further future lewd acts in public.
So it also says Tia Billinger of Draycott in Derbyshire was charged via postal requisition on Monday, the 16th of March. She will appear at Westminster Magistrates Court on Wednesday, the 22nd of April. What happens next in this case? I mean, how does it work exactly? Because I know that the UK justice system is a little bit different than we have here, right? In terms of you can have an arrest without charges, right? I think that's the way it works. But here it sounds like she's being charged. I mean, what happens next at this court hearing? How does the process work moving forward?
So first of all, to break down what you said, I think she received her arrest warrant by mail. I think that's what the postal indication is. And so she wasn't physically arrested, and she has a date to report to court on April 22nd. It's not clear to me yet whether it's going to be a magistrate court or a Crown court. If it's a magistrate court, she'll likely be tried by a judge or a panel of judges. If it's the Crown court, then it would be a jury. And so they will probably, in this first hearing, set the case for trial. And also she would have a chance to plead guilty or not guilty.
Yeah, how quickly could a trial happen, if you know?
I don't know. It's going to take at least several months, perhaps longer.
Could she be restricted from traveling?
Well, it's possible. They could probably take her passport away if they wanted to make sure that she shows up for her court hearings. She may be given, terms by the judge on which allow her to remain outside of prison while her case is pending. But those terms could insist that she's not permitted to travel. They may not take her passport, but they may give her those terms, or they may take her passport to ensure it's very difficult for her to travel.
And if she were to hypothetically commit any other lewd act or, kind of act of public decency, but, moving forward after this charge, how does that affect her case?
I think it would just probably further entrench the prosecutors in their position that they need to pursue this and pursue the highest penalty possible. That could influence, whether she's sent to jail or not, if she's engages in further acts, because then it would show that she's not remorseful, that she didn't learn a lesson as a result of her arrest. Any new act would likely be charged separately, and it would result in a separate trial.
David Tafuri, thanks for making sense of this. I can't believe we're talking about it again, but, quite a development for her. But we'll see which way this criminal case proceeds. Thanks for taking the time, sir.
Sure. I feel like it won't be the last time we talk about Bonnie Blue.
We shall see. And that's all we have for you right now here on Sidebar, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. And as always, please subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. You can also check us out on NBC's Peacock as well. If you want to follow me, X, Instagram, my News Nation show, Jesse Weber Live, Monday through Friday, 11 p.m. Eastern. I'll see you next time, everybody.
दुनिया दो दिन दी बंदा वे मौत दा माल दुनिया दो दिन दी दा माल दुनिया दो दिन दी आए कर तू कुछ ख्याल दुनिया दो दिन दी सुल्तान भी आए बड़े बड़े सुल्तान भी आए ओढ़क जा बिच खाक समाए ओढ़क जा बिच खाक समाए आए हो गए ख्वाब ख्याल दुनिया दो दिन दी आए हो गए ख्वाब ख्याल दुनिया दो दिन दी दुनिया दो दिन दी बंदा वे मौत दा माल दुनिया दो दिन दी ऊंचे लम्हे महल बना दे ऊंचे लम्हे महल बना दे दगा फरेब ते जुल्म कमा दे दगा फरेब ते जुल्म कमा दे हाय कुछ नहीं खड़दे नाल दुनिया दो दिन दी हाय कुछ नहीं खड़दे नाल दुनिया दो दिन दी ओ दुनिया दो दिन दी बंदा वे मौत दा माल दुनिया दो दिन दी दुनिया देंदी दुख बतेरे दुनिया देंदी दुख बतेरे वीरा कोलू वीर नखेड़े वीरा कोलू वीर नखेड़े आए मावा तू विछड़े लाल दुनिया दो दिन दी आए मावा तू विछड़े लाल दुनिया दो दिन दी ओ दुनिया दो दिन दी बंदा वे मौत दा माल दुनिया दो दिन दी सुख दे सजना सारे संगी सुख दे सजना सारे संगी नस जांदे जद आवे तंगी नस जांदे जद आवे तंगी हाय कोई नहीं गम दा प्याल दुनिया दो दिन दी ओह कोई नहीं गम दा प्याल दुनिया दो दिन दी हंसना रोना गम लाचारी हंसना रोना गम लाचारी आज मेरी कल तेरी बारी आज मेरी कल तेरी बारी हाय कंजरी दी मिसाल दुनिया दो दिन दी हाय कर तू कुछ ख्याल दुनिया दो दिन दी ओ दुनिया दो दिन दी बंदा वे मौत दा माल दुनिया दो दिन दी ओह कर तू कुछ ख्याल दुनिया दो दिन दी तुड़ा नी मिट्टी दा वीरा पुत तुड़ा नी मिट्टी दा वीरा अपना आप संभाल बशीरा अपना आप संभाल बशीरा हाय मिट्टी मिट्टी दा माल दुनिया दो दिन दी हाय मिट्टी मिट्टी दा माल दुनिया दो दिन दी हाय कर तू कुछ ख्याल दुनिया दो दिन दी हाय कर तू कुछ ख्याल दुनिया दो दिन दी ओ दुनिया दो दिन दी बंदा मिट्टी दा माल दुनिया दो दिन दी हाय कर तू कुछ ख्याल दुनिया दो दिन दी हाय कर तू कुछ ख्याल दुनिया दो दिन दी दुनिया दो दिन दी बंदा वे मौत दमाल दुनिया दो दिन दी दुनिया दो दिन दी बंदा वे मौत दमाल दुनिया दो दिन दी आए कर तू कुछ ख्याल दुनिया दो दिन दी सुल्तान भी आए बड़े बड़े सुल्तान भी आए ओढ़क जा बिच खाक समाए ओढ़क जा बिच खाक समाए हरे हो गए ख्वाब ख्याल दुनिया दो दिन दी हरे हो गए ख्वाब ख्याल दुनिया दो दिन दी दुनिया दो दिन दी बंदा वे मौत दमाल दुनिया दो दिन दी